Hello everyone, it's Miss Mary here. We're ready to do some more lesson on the plagues. We talked about 4 of them last week, and we're going to talk about the last 6 of them today. So stay with me and we'll be right back to talk about those 6 plagues. Okay, we're continuing the 10 plagues. Today our story, or the part we're going to cover, it says Moses and the 10 Plagues, Part 2. In Egypt, the children of Israel had become the slaves of Pharaoh. When God told Moses that it was time to go home to the land he had promised them, he sent terrible plagues until Pharaoh agreed to let them go. When Pharaoh said he would not let the people go, God sent lightning and huge hailstones, which stripped leaves off the trees, and it started fires, and it destroyed all the Egyptians' crops of food. Pharaoh still would not change his mind, so God sent a sickness on the Egyptians. All the cows and the Egyptian people got hungry, but the children of Israel's cows did not get sick. Moses asked Pharaoh again to let the people go, but he still said no. God sent sores and boils on Pharaoh and the Egyptians. They felt very sick and sore, but Pharaoh would not change his mind. Then God sent a swarm of locusts throughout the land of Egypt, and they ate everything that was green and good to eat. But the locusts did not eat the crops belonging to the Israelites. Still, Pharaoh would not change his mind. So God sent a thick black darkness over the land of Egypt. But the children of Israel had light in their homes and no darkness at all. After God sent the 10th and most awful plague of all, where the eldest boys of every Egyptian family died, Pharaoh finally changed his mind, and he told Moses and Aaron and the Israelites to go. The next day, all the children of Israel left Egypt and followed Moses to the land that God had promised them. After 430 years of being slaves, they were free, just as God had promised. Okay, so that's the end of our 10 plagues. And today's Bible story came from the Free Bible Images by Jill Kemp and Richard Gunther. Okay, that was pretty good, wasn't it? We learned about the last 6 plagues. There's 10 of them. And last week we talked about the first 4. And so we're going to review those real quick. The first one that God sent was the plague of water that turned into, do you remember what it turned into? That's right, it turned into blood. And blood's yucky. You don't want to drink it. You don't want to bathe in it. And so these people, that's all they had. But Pharaoh wouldn't let God's people go. So then God sent flies that got into everything. And then he sent frogs. And the 4th one he sent that we talked about was lice. Those are the little bugs that get in your hair. And I guess they can get all over your skin. They make you itch really bad. And Pharaoh still said no, he wouldn't let the people go. So God continued to send plagues. And today we covered the 6 last plagues. And the first one we talked about today was the plagues of the lightning and the hailstorm. And when the lightning would strike like the houses that Pharaoh owned, they would burn up, because that's what lightning does. If it strikes a tree or something like that, it can start a fire. And the hail can be anywhere from the size of like a marble up to as big as like a baseball. And these big old pieces of hail were coming out of the sky, and they were hitting all the crops and trees. And you definitely didn't want to be outside, because that would really hurt if it hit you on the head. And Pharaoh still said no. He wouldn't let the people go. So then God sent a sickness to the cows and the animals that Pharaoh owned. And all of Pharaoh's animals died. But you know what? The slaves were God's people, the Israelites. Their animals didn't die. God let them live. But Pharaoh still wouldn't let the people go. So then God sent sores all over everybody's body, including Pharaoh's body. And he made them really sick. And these sores weren't just like on the arms and your face. They were on like the bottom of their feet and everywhere. So it hurt to walk. It hurt to lay down, because they were like on your back. They were everywhere. And you know what? Pharaoh was still so stubborn. He still said, no, I'm not letting these people go. So God sent another plague. He sent a swarm of locusts. Locusts are a lot like grasshoppers. And I mean, we're not talking 2 or 3 grasshoppers. He sent lots of them. And these locusts came through and they ate everything that was green, because that's what locusts like to eat. They eat green plants. So if it was a green plant of any kind, including the trees, the leaves on the trees, they ate it. There wasn't anything green left. And so they ate the plants and everything that the people needed to eat. And Pharaoh still said no. Can you believe it? He is really stubborn, isn't he? So God sent another plague. He sent the plague of darkness. And I don't know if you've ever been in a room or anywhere where it was so dark that if you put your hand out in front of you, you wouldn't be able to see it. It would be so dark. And this darkness didn't just stay for a few minutes. It stayed for like over a day. And these people, I would think, I wouldn't want to try to find my way around in dark that was that dark where you couldn't see anything. There was no light whatsoever. And they walked around, if they walked, in complete darkness. And Pharaoh still said no. He goes, no, not letting them go. So God said, okay, I'm going to hit you with another plague. And this time, God sent one that really hit Pharaoh's heart. And it was that the oldest son of everyone that was in Egypt, their oldest son died. That was so sad. And guess what? Pharaoh had a son. His oldest son died. And it made Pharaoh really, really sad. And God saved that one for last, because he was really, really hoping that Pharaoh would change his heart. But he wouldn't do it. But after that one, after his oldest son died, Pharaoh's oldest son, he finally said, okay, Moses, you and Aaron can take the Israelites and you can go. And so that's where our story ends today. We're going to find out what happens after they leave. But Moses is going to lead these people to the promised land that God promised them. So we're going to talk more about that next time. I hope you have a great week. Thank you for tuning in, and I miss you guys. I hope to see you in Bible class at 9:30 and then in kids worship. So until then, we will see you later. Bye-bye.